So it's April, which means the breeding season, the bird breeding season, is really progressing now, and there's lots more rare breeding birds out there to be found. Last month in March, we were talking about species like goshawk, lesser-spotted woodpecker, woodlark, long-eared owl, classic early breeders, and you can still find them, but they are getting harder to find. But meanwhile, there are new birds getting into their breeding seasons and migrant species returning from the south. So lots to find in April. Afro-Palearctic migrants are returning to the UK, including some rare breeders such as gargany and little ring plover. Although we have to be careful about interpreting records as birds move around before settling at breeding sites, as we go through April, little ring plovers will be establishing territories, so birds in suitable breeding habitats, displaying and pairs are really important records to submit from now onwards. There's loads of other species you can look for during April. So Dartford warblers on southern heathlands, marsh harriers over reed beds, wetlands, farmland, bitterns booming in reed beds. Further north, divers returning to breeding lots in Scotland, and crested tits, really underreported species. So please, if you see crested tits during the spring and summer, submit those records to help with the monitoring. In urban areas, peregrines are breeding, black redstarts will be starting to return, and there are many more species you can look for, so get out there. One thing I'm hearing is it looks like it's going to be a good vole year, at least in some parts of the UK, which means it's a good year for species that feed on voles. So for example, in upland areas, short-eared owls. Some short-eared owls will already be down on eggs, others not quite yet. Birds will still be displaying. They can be quite difficult to find, but find yourself a good vantage point overlooking large areas of moorland and sit it out looking, particularly towards dusk. The last couple of hours before dusk, probably the best. Best to do that rather than wandering around looking for them. Be very careful not to disturb short-eared owls. They can be very vulnerable to disturbance early in the breeding season. If you think there's a nest anywhere, watch from a distance, don't go near. So that's just a few species to look for at the moment. You know, Rare Breeding Bird Panel reports feature about 100 species every year, and many of those will already be on territory trying to breed in the UK, so there's lots to go out and look for. Remember not to disturb rare breeding birds when you're out bird watching and looking for them, and also the guidance that we give about thinking carefully about how you share exciting sightings and whether you do or whether you keep them quiet to protect the birds. But the weather's great, the days are getting longer. Get out there, have fun looking for rare breeding birds and bird watching, and please remember to submit your records to help the Rare Breeding Bird Panel with our monitoring of these species.